In the sun, I feel it's warm. In the sun. Welcome to the Barzone on slaminternetradio.com. And this week I'm doing Nirvana and a bio on Kurt Cobain. Yeah. That's Cobain when he was a little boy. This is inside of his mind. He was a manic depressant, according to what his friend said. If you tune in at slaminternetradio.com, they hold it into the archive for 6 months. Nirvana was the best band. The 90s band. The grunge music. Courtney Love was his wife. And I'm about to go on air. Everybody, welcome to slaminternetradio.com, and you're listening to Msbarzone on Barzone Rock and Roll Presents. And this week on slaminternetradio.com, we're going to be doing the band Nirvana and a bio on Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was a musician and he was an artist. He was considered the 90s American rock pop. The title of his genre was grunge and hard rock, and also as a hardcore and alternative rock. For many years he was very active, and he wasn't depressed, but every so often his band members had called him manic depressive. He would go off in the corner. The years he was active in 1982 and 1994, originally named Kurt Donald Cobain. He was an artist, songwriter, and a singer, and married to Courtney Love. Cobain formed Nirvana with Chris Novoselic in Aberdeen, Washington in 1985, and established it as part of the Seattle music rock scene. The first album debut Cobain did was called Bleach, and Bleach was released as an independent rock on its own in 1989. Cobain went signed on to another major label called DGC Records. The breakthrough of the band was made when the band Nirvana came up with the first hit, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And we're going to break right now to hear that song. It's very popular. Smells Like Teen Spirit. Welcome to Barzone, everybody. Look at Kurt Cobain's mind. And again, you can hear us on iTunes. Originally, Smells Like Teen Spirit was from a deodorant bottle, or that somehow was on there. A picture of Kurt on Rolling Stone. This book, I guess it's a library book. It's a Rolling Stone book. Alright. This was him January 27th, 1994. I can't believe that was 20 years ago. Oh my. Every night, The road to Nirvana. He was only 27 years old when he left a note, suicide. Heart-shaped noise. There was once homeless. Hello, 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 hello. My picture. Like the state of his mind. What a cute little baby. Poor Courtney. And that cute baby. Oh, this is what he is. When they found him shot to death. I had a friend of mine, her boyfriend committed suicide. He left a note behind saying, "Shirley, you're the greatest, but it's time to go." And his lips were purple, and she found him, couldn't do nothing. It looked like they were in the ambulance there. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to help. This is Courtney with the baby, naked. We had an awesome group. I mean, there was no real reason what he must have felt, the pain that he was going through, and for what? What was it that's in her mind? The song we're listening to Smells Like Teen Spirit. So listen to slaminternetradio.com. Like this on Facebook. Oh, hello, hello, hello. We're looking for sponsors if you want your business. Like, I get like a lot of hits. They come from YouTube and they come online. Especially last week with Led Zeppelin. In the future I'll be doing Bon Jovi and a lot of good stuff. Picture of him. About the right footy. That was awesome. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to slaminternetradio.com, and you're listening to Msbarzone on Barzone Radio Rock and Roll Presents Rock and Roll Profile. And you can tune in to us every week when you listen in at between 4 and 6 p.m. every Wednesday. It's at slaminternetradio.com, like us on Facebook, and listen to our archives, tune in to us on iTunes. This week we're listening to the band Nirvana and doing a bio on Kurt Cobain. And about the band itself, Nirvana was a historical band. When the historical group came out, their act had changed the times in the history of rock and roll. Their act was unique and changed what people have been listening to. When we once used to listen to the Beatles, Bon Jovi, Van Morrison, and Elvis, the band proved to be the pride of Albany, Washington, which was shortly out of Seattle, Washington. The group had come to make one of the biggest flashes out of the time and era. The legendary performances started with 1991's Nevermind, and that was an album I believe they had out. The new sensation, because the new pop culture was to begin a trend called grunge. The band's apparel was flannel t-shirts and knitted caps. The band originally represented the new wavelength coming of age. They soon played along with the world of Pearl Jam in those days, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. Nirvana kicked aside the cool kids, and Nirvana was good enough to outlast the grunge stage that season. At that time, it just fade away. With Kurt at the vocal, and the band was a hard-rocking, caroling success, we're going to break for another favorite song from Nirvana. Come As You Are. I have folks at home telling people to tune in to slaminternetradio.com. I hope you are. As a grand, as a world I am. Memory. I can't believe, okay, if he was 27, it was like 20 years ago. Maybe 47. I can't believe that. Wow. Well, this time goes by like this. If anybody ever has a request, send me a message on YouTube. Tell me what your request is. I'll do a bio on your favorite band. Doesn't matter the year. Memory. Seems like you prophesied. A lot of entertainers seem like they prophesize their songs sometimes. No, I don't ever know. Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Barzone Rock and Roll Profiles on slaminternetradio.com, and like us on Facebook under slaminternetradio.com. And we're asking everybody to send us our request. You can even send your request on YouTube, because we do have something going with Msbarzone on YouTube. And this week we're doing on Rock and Roll Profiles. Msbarzone is doing a biography on Kurt Cobain. But right now I'm going to do a small little service announcement in the neighborhood. Anthony Catalano has been missing from the Chicagoland area since March 25th, 2009, last seen coming out of his condo. And there's like a couple other family or friends in the area. There's just a lot of things going on. Michael Defillipis Jr. was murdered at Grand in Harlem. This may be a connected case. We're looking for answers on that. And another unsolved mystery is where Anthony Catalano hung and all this friends in the neighborhood, which was a horseshoe inn. Again, two murders. The owner was murdered, and Wendy Bomber, the bartender, which again unanswered, unsolved mystery. So hopefully you all collect answers. Listening at a bar somewhere, listening to this, and maybe come in a few weeks. We're going back to the biography of Kurt Cobain, and he was born February 20th, 1967 in Herculaneum, Washington, in the United States. He died actually April 5th in 1994 in Seattle, Washington, United States. That was a gunshot wound to his head with suicide. He was American. He was the lead singer of the band, and he was a wonderful singer and a wonderful artist. Cobain was born in a small London community of Herculaneum. Well, how do you say that? Herculaneum. An Indian name, it sounds like. It's where Cobain's father, Donald Leland Cobain, was a car mechanic and had moved to Washington State after marrying Wendy Bundenberg. When Cobain was 6 months old, the family moved to neighboring Aberdeen, another small, economical, depressed logging and fishing community. Cobain had one sister. By all accounts, Cobain's childhood had a happy one until 1975, when the parents divorced. From the moment his parents separated, Cobain became withdrawn, depressed, and so on. His grades at Aberdeen Elementary suffered. He lived with his mother for a year before her remarriage sent him to live with a single family and in the neighboring town of Msbarzone. However, his father also remarried, and Cobain felt displaced again. Cobain eventually spent the preponderance being moved among 3 sets of aunts and uncles with paternal grandparents for the rest of his education. He shuffled between schools in Msbarzone and Aberdeen. I heard that another thing about, a tidbit about his past. His uncle, he actually started out, had a band out in Ants called the Beachcombers. So he came from a family of musicians. Cobain received a secondary electric guitar and amplifier for his 14th birthday. He had been attracted to the melodic rock of the Beatles as a child, and as an adolescent, his taste moved to heavy rock from the late 1970s to 80s by bands such as Kiss and AC/DC. And the summer before he entered high school, Cobain heard of exploits of British punk band, the Sex Pistols. The rebellion of punk rock intrigued him, but the small record shops in Aberdeen did not carry the Sex Pistols albums. Cobain hated high school, but the people he met there moved him towards the music he was to create at Msbarzone High School. He met Matt Lukin and Buzz Osborne, two musicians who formed a band called the Melvins. Cobain attended their practice sessions and was astounded by their energy and the punk-inspired music they produced. Around the time Osborne gave Cobain a tape with the first punk rock he had ever heard by such bands as Black Flag and Flipper. Never heard of them. I guess they're popular. In 1984, Cobain moved back into his mother's house in Aberdeen, where he attended Aberdeen High School and met one of the future members of Nirvana, Chris Novoselic. Had a great deal in common with Cobain, and they both felt trapped in provincial Aberdeen and sought refuge in music. The two decided to form a band with Cobain playing guitar and singing, and Novoselic playing, he played bass. Cobain left his mother's home after dropping out of high school in 1985, first living with friends and eventually renting a series of dilapidated houses. He was homeless for a period and slept under a bridge near Wishkah River. And we're going to break for another favorite song. Okay, so scratch that one, just do the other one. That's why I thought, that's why I put two on there. So just do the next one, because the next one is a song with it. I put two. So do the next one. All right. Hey, hey. I don't even know what music is out there. Like, it's 20 years later and all the old music is great. Well, what's out there? Justin Bieber? I mean, like, I'm like too old to know his music. You know, Selena, I mean, too old for that. I think I'll do in the future Metallica, Black Sabbath, something still heavy metal, maybe. The song we're listening to is called Heart-Shaped Box. I wonder what Courtney Love is doing today. I should do a bio on her in the future. It'd be kind of interesting. You're listening to Msbarzone on slaminternetradio.com. Like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes. Listen to more episodes in the archive. We actually came up for 6 months. So there's some great past songs that we did in the past. We did Pink Floyd, which was an awesome one. We did Led Zeppelin. We have Beatles. So there's a lot of past music. Tune into us iTunes. Come in on Wednesday between 4 and 6 every week. Msbarzone Rock and Roll Profiles. And this week we are doing the biography of Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. And Kurt, his father worked as a janitor, and Kurt Cobain, and actually I think it's Kurt worked as a janitor. I didn't believe that. Okay. Cobain and Nirvana hired a drummer by the name of Aaron Burkhart at the group when they started to perform at the small party, and they just grew up from that. In the neighboring college town of Olympia, and the band, which went under several different names, quickly developed a repertoire of songs, all written by Cobain. He's an awesome artist. He has some awesome books out. You can go to the library, the archives in the library. There's some awesome pictures in those books. So he was an awesome artist. They have a lot of, just interesting stuff, deep stuff, deep. The band, which went under several different names, quickly developed a repertoire of songs. And some of the titles, such as Hairspray Queen, Lloyd the Barber, and Downer. The band became known for high-energy performances, often tinged with humor and anger at life in the Aberdeen. However, Burkhart did not display the kind of dedicated Cobain and Nirvana, the type that they were doing. He was putting other stuff into his music. They were putting a lot into the music of their hearts from their hometown, and a lot of depression in their past. And what happened is because they didn't agree, they searched for a replacement of Burkhart. In 1987, Cobain met Tracy Miranda and moved into her apartment in Olympia, thus escaping the claustrophobic world of Aberdeen. In 1988, Cobain and Nirvana, with the help of Dale Crover, the drummer for the Melvins, made a demo tape at the Seattle studio, Reciprocal Recording, and its engineer, Jack Indinino. They were vital elements of the evolution of the underground music of Pacific Northwest that would later be classified as grunge. And the demo that Indinino recorded of Cobain and his band that they had not yet settled on, well, the name was Nirvana, and it cost $152.44. Indinino was very impressed with the music and passed on a copy of the tape to the Jonathan Poneman, the co-founder of the Sub Pop, the independent record label responsible for issuing the first grunge recording. Sub Pop immediately asked the band to record a single. After going through a succession of drummers, the band settled on Chad Channing and went back to Reciprocal to record for the first single, Love, Buzz/Big Cheese. By the time the band was called Nirvana, and by the end of the year it was back in the radio recording for the first time, Bleach. That's another album that came out. And that made for 606.16 cents. The album featured many of the songs Cobain had written earlier, but also included New York, such as the melodic pop influence About a Girl. It's another song. And Bleach was released in 1989, and Nirvana did extensive touring to promote it Nirvana's members became infamous for smashing all of their instruments after successful performances. Some Pop asked for a follow-up to Bleach, but Cobain and Novoselic were unhappy with the promotion and distribution of Nirvana's first album. They were also unhappy with Channing, whom they replaced in 1990 with Dave Grohl, an extremely hard-hitting drummer in the mold of Led Zeppelin, John Bonham. With Grohl behind them, Cobain and Novoselic broke up with Sub Pop and signed up with major commercial label. It was called Griffin DGC. They released their second album, Nevermind, at the end of 1991. It was a stunning progression for Bleach, and they retained their driving punk influence sound. They still kept that, but the music was more melodic and filled with catchy hooks. Songs such as Polly and Something in the Way displayed Cobain's ability to juggle melody and vintage guitar playing. The first song on the album, Smells Like Teen Spirit, tapped into the zeitgeist. The song's final words, A Denial, seemed to speak the post-Cold War youth culture. The astonishing success of the album shocked the band and its record company. So that's what boasted them with. Smells Like Teen Spirit. Now what I read is Teen Spirit was actually taken off a underarm deodorant bottle, and that's where it got the name. It was for some girl that was doing some band, and that's where that came from, the idea of it smells like. Did it smell like Teen Spirit? Alright, well the music video for Smells Like Teen Spirit became a staple for MTV. By January of 1992, Nirvana had the best-selling album in the world. Kurt Cobain was slight of stature and often wore layers of t-shirts on stage, and his performances were often filled with energy and humor. On and off nights, he would be sullen and inattentive to his playing, and that's when his friends noticed he kind of always drifted off like in a dream world sometimes, and in some sort of pain world. Cobain's drug use had primarily consisted of marijuana, but by the time of Nevermind, shockingly success, he had begun to use heroin regularly. He always claimed to have violent stomach pains, and heroin was one of the way of battling this discomfort. In 1992, Cobain married Courtney Love, who was involved with her band at the time. It was called Hole. The two had a daughter, Frances Bean Cobain. The same year, the pressure of having a best-selling album started to weigh on Cobain. His private life was scrutinized in the press, and the band constantly touring to huge crowds all over the world, starting to wear him down. During her pregnancy, Love had given an interview with Vanity Fair, with incorrectly intimating that Love had been using heroin during her pregnancy. This eventually caused the Los Angeles County Department of Children's Services to attempt to take custody of their daughter away from the couple. After a costly legal battle, Frances Bean remained with their parents, but the story was played up in the press, and the pressure upon Cobain mounted. His problems of heroin escalated, and he tried several times to go through a detoxification program to meet the demand for more Nirvana music. The band released a compilation of rare tracks and B-sides called Incesticide at the end of 1992. The next 2 years of Cobain's life were a downward spiral, consisting of first against heroin and the rigors of fame. In spite of personal problems, the final years of Cobain's life were filled with music. In 1993, he provided bass guitar for recording with his literary hero William S. Burroughs on The Priest. They called him Nirvana. Also released his third album, In Utero. The last work was an attempt to return to the band's punk origins, but at the same time displayed some of Cobain's most intense songwriting. Heart-shaped box, in all apologies. The band also delivered a breathtaking performance on MTV Unplugged that was issued as a recording a year later. In March of 1994, Cobain attempted suicide in Rome by overdosing on pills and alcohol. The event was reported in an accident in the press, but Cobain's personal life began to spin out of control. Courtney Love coordinated a drug intervention for him, and he agreed to go into a rehabilitation program. He spent 2 days in rehab center in Los Angeles before escaping and secretly fleeing back to his Seattle home. His friends and family searched for him, but he had locked himself in a small room above the garage where he injected heroin for the last time and then killed himself with a shotgun. Reaction to Cobain's suicide was immediately intense and worldwide. His death of only 27 years old, was a staggering blow to rock. The music critic David Frick called Cobain the John Lennon of the generation. Cobain's songs of pain and loss had a remarkable beauty that became a part of millions of our lives. At the same time, they altered the history of popular music. And there's a lot of songs he did. Come As You Are, The Story of Nirvana, 1993. There's Important Chronicles out there. There's a lot of stories out there for Cobain. Never Fade Away, The Cobain Story, 1994. Focus Was on His Death by Christopher Sanford. Nirvana Companion, 1998. So there's a lot of stuff out there. And the Real Seattle Music Story in 1995 also focuses on the music scene. An obituary in the New York Times was using on Cobain, and that was on April 9, 1994. We're going to break for a song now. That he had everything going for him. Tune in if you like Cobain's music. Listen to us on iTunes. Go into slaminternetradio.com. Kind of nice. It's middle of summer. Like I said, they hold music for 6 months. So some good art. Go on to more episodes and archives. So if you missed it, you can always go back, download it. It's nice to know, a little bit of bio, what's happening, your favorite performer. What we're listening to is, coming back It's like he foretold his death. Not coming back. He's like foretelling his future wants of suicide. And then he was there. Almost like he was looking in the mirror while he was singing this song. His friends in his head. Heart-shaped back. Just this is him writing this music. Road from nowhere. That's the life he lives. See, when he started out young as a musician. I missed you and I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back. Awesome band, awesome person, awesome artist. Kurt Cobain, the musician and the artist. Welcome back to Barzone Rock and Roll Profiles, and you're listening to us on slaminternetradio.com. Like us on Facebook. And we're doing a bio on Nirvana, the band, and a bio on Kurt Cobain. The second success was the release of Nevermind, and Nirvana earned the label the flagship band of the Generation X. Cobain was also hailed for being